Hello, this is Mr. Ward, and I want to show you a new tool that I created, but this one's just for fun. It's for the game called Wordle, which you may have heard of, you may have played before, but even if you haven't, hopefully this is going to give you something fun to do and give you a little bit of insight into how some of the tools that I've created for different things actually do work behind the scenes while you're having a little bit of fun. So I want to show you where you can find this tool. I want to show you how it's used, take you through an example, and then you can have some fun. So the first thing I want to show you is where you can actually play the game Wordle. You can find that website right here. It's New York Times, nytimes.com/game/Wordle/index, or you can just click on the link right there on the page. And the other thing I want to show you is my website where you can find this tool. It's www.mathwithmrward.club, and you can download this tool for free and use it, show it to your classroom, play it by yourself, do however you want to do. That is just fine with me. So you can find this on the student resources page, and you'll be able to use this in lots of different ways. All right, I just needed to enlarge my screen a little bit so I could show you everything, including the Wordle game here on the website. But before I start playing the game, I actually want to show you what this screen is showing you and the information that it's providing to you. So let me walk you through what you see here. The first thing that you'll see right up here in this area in the top left is your options for first letter, second letter, third letter, fourth letter, and fifth letter. In the game of Wordle, you are trying to find a five-letter word. And by selecting different letters and trying different words, you're able to hopefully figure out which letters go where in the five-letter word that you need to find. And by making different choices in these drop-down menus, you are going to be eliminating different letters or selecting letters that definitely go in certain places and changing the odds of finding the right word. Right below that, where it says row labels here, this is actually every single word that is possible in Wordle. And there are 12,972 of them, and all of them are listed here in alphabetical order. So I don't recommend reading through them. A lot of them are words we don't use very much in the English language, but they are all there and available. The next thing that you see here, this large chart right here in the middle, is every single letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through Z, and how many times that letter occurs in each of the five spots that a letter could occur. So for instance, the first letter, the second letter, third letter, fourth letter, fifth letter, let's say the letter A. The letter A shows up as the first letter in five-letter words 737 times in the game of Wordle. It shows up as the second letter, though, 2,263 times. So if I'm looking for an A, it's probably in that second spot. It also shows up in the third spot quite often, 1,236 times. In the fourth spot quite often, 1,074 times. And as the fifth letter, not very often, 680 times, still a big number, but not as often as some of the other spots. So if I'm looking for an A, there's actually 5,990 different A's in the words in Wordle, but there are certain spots where A shows up more often than others. Also, the most common letter ever in Wordle is S, which shows up 6,665 times, but more than half of that, almost 4,000 times, it shows up as the fifth letter of the word. So if I want to find an S, that's probably where I'll find it. And there's such a huge juxtaposition here between the fifth letter and the second letter being S. S is only the second letter 93 times, which is a very small amount compared to 4,000. So if I'm looking for a word that has an S in it, the S is probably that last letter compared to the second letter, or maybe the first letter, which is also almost 1,600, 1,565. So there's a lot of S's in there, but they fall in certain places more often than others. So given that information, the top 10 words to guess actually takes into account which letters would most likely be in certain places and gives each word a score. So every single word, all 12,972 of them, have a score. And the top scores show here, and the words that go with them show there. Now, I did take into account double letters. So if a word has double letters, sometimes that messes things up and it's hard to gauge. So like sassy, for example, has 3 S's. That's a big score. So you don't want to put that one in as like it's probably the best word ever to guess because there's 3 S's. Not necessarily. So some those have been weighted down a little bit. But the ones that don't have double letters, they're going to show up first. So it turns out the very best word to guess is the word tares, Tares. And the reason that's the best word to guess is not because it has the 5 most common letters, although it has several of them, but it's because those letters are not only some of the most common, but also in the most common places for those letters to be. So, for example, R, which is the third letter in tares, R is one of the most common letters, but R being the third letter is the most common place for R to be. So there are almost 1,200 R's as the third letter, whereas you're into 700s and 600s, even 900 on the second letter. R is most commonly in the third letter spot. So tares makes sense. The same with S being at the fifth letter spot. That is by far where the most S's are. Whereas E's, the most common place for E's is the fourth letter. So RES makes a lot of sense. The most common spot for an A to be is the second letter. There's over 2,000 of them in that spot. So tares is meeting those requirements there. Now, T being the first letter, T is not the most common letter at all, but it's still a significant number in that word or in that space, in that first letter space. And if I'm not doubling letters, so S is not an option, then T is a very close second option or third option. There are some 900s like B and C, but this gives me the best score possible because T is such a popular letter overall. Even if it's not the first letter, it gives me an option to see if it's in the word or not. Right here, you can see the possible answers. Right now, there are 12,972 of those. As I change this up and delete letters and make sure that I'm getting the just the right letters that I need, that number will drop, hopefully down to the number 1, because I want there to be only one option when I get done with this. And I also have down here the best 3 words to guess. Now that's not necessarily the best 3 for every single game, but if I guess these 3 words in that order, I'm guessing the very most common letters first, the second most common letters, the third most common letters in the most common positions. And most of the time, if you guess those 3 words, you get most of the letters in a lot of the good positions of each word. Now, I'm going to play the game Wordle with an actual Wordle word from the website. You can do this once a day on the website, although there are some apps and things you can download and play all the time. You can only do it once on Wordle each day. And here is the game, and I'm going to play the game for you, and I'm going to show you how the spreadsheet works so that you can play along with me and you can do it with your words when you get a chance. So the first word that I'm going to enter is my top 10 words to guess, tares, T-A-R-E-S. So I'm just going to put tares in, T-A-R-E-S. And when I hit enter, it's going to tell me if any of those letters are in the word and if they're in the right place in the word. So let me show you what I mean. So when I hit enter, I now see some different colors. If the letter is green, that means that is the correct letter in the correct location. So A is the second letter of this word. The word is not tares. I'm trying to guess the word, but A is the second letter. So if I go over to my spreadsheet where it says second letter, right now I have all the options. But I know that A is the second letter, so I'm going to drop this menu down. I'm going to uncheck all for number 2, and I'm just going to select A. That's going to allow me to eliminate every single word that doesn't have an A in the second spot. That should leave me with 2,263 words right off the bat. So I'm going from 12,000, almost 13,000 words down to just over 2,000. So I hit OK, and you see all my numbers have adjusted. So now I have no other letters other than A for the second letter, and now I can see common first letters, common third letters, fourth letters, fifth letters, all the way through. But I'm not done yet. There are still 4 other locations that I haven't made any adjustments for. So let me show you some adjustments I'm going to make for the third letter. This third letter I got wrong. The third letter is not R. But not only is the third letter not R, because that R is black or gray, that means there are no R's in this word. So what I can do is I can take all R's out of every location. I've already taken them out of the second letter by saying it must be A, but I can take R's out of all four of the other letters, as well as E's. There are no E's in this word either. There are no R's and no E's, two of the most common letters. That's going to eliminate a lot of different words because no R's and no E's in any location is going to cut out a whole lot of very common words. In addition to that, there are still two other pieces of information, a T and an S that do appear in the word. However, they're in the wrong spot. So even though I don't know where this T goes, I do know that it is not the first letter. So in addition to R and E not being the first letter, T is also not the first letter because it doesn't go in that spot. It must go somewhere else in the word. So I'm going to go over here to the first letter, drop down my list, and I'm going to eliminate E and R and T as the first letter. So I just uncheck E, scroll down, uncheck R, and also uncheck T because I know T's in the wrong spot. Now that I've unchecked those three letters, I hit OK. It makes some adjustments, and now there are only 1,929 words to choose from. And that's just the first letter. I also have three other letters here. I know that the third letter is not an R or an E, so I'm going to eliminate both of those. There's E gone and R gone. I also know that the fourth letter is not E or R, so I eliminate the E and I eliminate the R. And the fifth letter, much like the first letter, is not E or R, but it is also not S because that S is in the wrong place. So I knock off E and R, and I also knock off S, and that takes me down to only 647 words to choose from. I started with almost 13,000. I'm now below 1,000 with the very first word. Tears, even though it wasn't the right word, and it only gave me one letter in the right place, has now given me what, 1/26th of the words that I need to look at. This is a great fraction of the words. My next word that I should choose is a word that has some very common letters in it, none of the letters I've eliminated, but also has some of the letters probably in the right spot. Because again, these words are weighted to have the right places and the right most common areas for those letters to pop up. So you see my adjustments have been made here, and manly, M-A-N-L-Y, is the most popular possible choice for the most common letters to show up in. So if I go over to Wordle, I type in M-A-N-L-Y. Now I am 100% sure this is not the word, okay? And what I mean by that is I know for a fact there's an S and a T in the word I'm supposed to pick. So manly cannot possibly be the right answer. But I'm not concerned with finding the right answer. I'm concerned with finding the letters that I need to form the right answer. So manly is going to give me a lot of information about a lot of letters that I need, and it's going to allow me to find the right letter. So let me hit enter so we can see what if we found anything. And there we go. We not only found out that Y is the last letter of this word, we also found out that there's an N in this word, and there is no M, and there is no L. So let me put that information into the spreadsheet just like I did before. Y is the last letter, so the last letter, the fifth letter. I drop the menu down. I'm going to check all again just to fill in all the blanks, and then I'm going to uncheck it and just mark Y because Y is the last letter. Already I'm down to only 156 options. So I'm down from 12,000, almost 13,000 words to just 156, and I haven't even finished yet. I know that the fourth letter is not an L, and it's also not an M, because both of those letters are gray or black, so I know they don't exist in the word. So I mark those off. I know that the third letter is also not an L or an M, but I also know it's not an N because the N is in the wrong spot. So I can eliminate 3 letters there. L, M, and N are all not the third letter. Down to 84 words. And I know that the first letter is not an M or an L, just like the other 3 or the other 2. And now I'm down to just 71 possibilities. We're getting close. Okay. So now I'm going to put in the next word that it might be, but it isn't this word. I know it's not Gatsby, which is the next word to guess, but I know that some of those letters are very common and maybe I'll figure them out. I know that there's an N, a T, and an S that are in the wrong place somewhere. So I can figure this out, but Gatsby's going to help. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, you've got all 5 letters already. And that's great. And you could probably figure it out already. Many of you probably already have just by looking at it. But I'm going to keep going with the spreadsheet because I have faith in the spreadsheet. I think it's going to work for us. But you probably can already tell what the word is. And if you can't, you'll see it in a minute or two anyway. But I'm going to put Gatsby in. Gaspy. And when I hit enter, I've got some more information. That S is now in the right spot. Third letter is S. So I put the third letter. I'm going to check all again just so I fill in all the blanks, uncheck it, and then select my S. Already I'm down to 14 words. Sassy is not the word, as we know, but it's filling in this last blank. And you can see these are the words I'm choosing from. There's really just a few left. Okay. I know that the first letter is not a G or a P, so I'm going to eliminate those, G and P, because neither of those letters is in this word. And I also know that the fourth letter is not G or P. And I'm going to be down to just a handful of words after this. Let's see how many I have. I have 9 left. Nine words that it could possibly be. And you can see they're all very similar words. Hasty, washy, dashy, vasty, nasty, casky, and then we get into some of the other ones that it's probably not. So if you haven't figured the word out yet, you will very soon. There are only a couple letters that I have in the word that are not placed right. So the next word it wants me to guess is hasty. I'm going to guess that word. Hasty. I know that's not the right word because I know there should be an N in this word, but I'm headed in the right direction. I'm getting some common letters gone. I hit enter, and sure enough, now I have a T in the right location. So I can take that fourth letter and say that fourth letter is definitely a T. I clear all the others out. I select T, and there we go. I only have 3 words to choose from: vasty, nasty, and hasty. And I know it's not hasty because I just eliminated H as a possibility. So now I only have 2 options left. You can see those 2 options here as those letters have been eliminated. Those words have been eliminated. You can also see them as the top 2 words to guess. The others are marked 0. These are not getting a good score. They just happen to be the first ones alphabetically and that sort of thing. So it's either vasty or nasty. Now, if I know how to play the game, I know there's an N missing that I haven't put in there yet. So that is definitely a word. But even if I wasn't paying attention to that, I could guess these 2 words as my last 2 guesses and definitely get it. So I'm just going to show you what that would look like if I wasn't paying attention at all to my information in the Wordle game itself, but just the spreadsheet. Vasty. It's not that word, but it's very close. It tells me that the first letter is not a V. So if I pull this down, V is not the letter. And now there is only one option left. It's the word nasty. Nasty. Enter. And sure enough, that is the word. And there you go. So now you can see how this works. I cannot guarantee you that it will get every single word in 6 guesses or less. But what I can tell you is it's going to help you find the most common arrangements of letters, hopefully give you the right answer most of the time, and maybe be kind of interesting and fun to sort of check out and see how it works. But I hope you enjoy using this tool and have fun playing Wordle and keep learning new things and trying new things. I enjoy building little things like this and trying my best. If you want to reset this, all you have to do is put everything back on all, and it will go back to the way that it was. Or you can just re-download it from the website. That works as well. But thank you all for watching this. I appreciate that. And share this with anybody you want to share it with. Have some fun with it. And I will talk to you all later.